Diablo 4 may be here sooner than you think, Fortnite is earning way less than it used to, and Summer Games Speedrunning Marathon is here. My name is Force, welcome back to the Force feed. Pretty exciting episode today as we're going to be talking about Diablo. It's a franchise that I've loved for most of my life. Well, we got a bunch of new information today about Diablo 4. Now this is coming from an article by French publication Le Monde, where they discuss some actual issues that are going on at Blizzard Europe. The company is actually looking to lay off 30% of their employees, and there's some concern that the branch will be shutting down. Now, much of the reason is said to be Blizzard's slow release schedule these past few years, and pressure from the company to earn more. Now, they talk about a lot of their current titles kind of reaching the end of their life cycle, but they do mention that there's hope for the future. To quote the article, teams at Blizzard Entertainment have already been presented with a long-awaited Diablo 4, and know that a new Overwatch game is in development as well, but neither of these games will likely release before 2020 at the very best. So obviously, first off, it sucks to hear that Blizzard Europe is having these issues, but they do say that there is hope on the horizon thanks to the fact that they've seen Diablo 4. Now this is just kind of further confirmation of what we basically already knew. Blizzard has said themselves that there's multiple Diablo projects in the works, but they haven't publicly said like, hey, we're making Diablo 4. However, we have learned a lot about the game, and a lot of that is due to an article last fall released by Jason Schreier, where he talks about the development of the next Diablo game. Now, we learned that they were working on a second Diablo 3 expansion that eventually got scrapped because even though D3 sold a lot of copies, it made a lot of money, the executives at Blizzard kind of considered it a failure based on the public perception, and that it kind of hurt the brand a bit. So what they wanted is, instead of making an expansion for D3, they asked the Diablo team to focus on new projects instead. Now, Hades was that first project. This was actually a Dark Souls inspired Diablo game that was in development for a couple of years, but eventually got canceled at some point in 2016. Now then they moved on as their next major Diablo game to Project Fenris, which is the current iteration, and basically they're going to be moving away from the cartoony elements of Diablo 3 and sort of embracing the darkness of the prior Diablo games. There's also been talk of them introducing some MMO elements with things like making the game more social, which could include some player hub locations. And also there's been talks of them moving from the top-down isometric perspective to more of a third person over the shoulder. None of this stuff is like 100% confirmed, but you know, Jason Schreier has been known to break a lot of really good quality information, and there hasn't been a lot of times where he's broke a story that later came out to be false. So pretty interesting stuff. Again, we've got further confirmation that Diablo 4, as they're calling it, is in the works, and we've got that possible 2020 target window, even if that's on the early side of things. And it really would be, because especially, you know, Project Hades, that Dark Souls inspired Diablo game that they were working on, got canceled in 2016. Let's say they started in early 2017 and they're planning on a 2020 launch. That's only like a 3 to 4 year period that they would have had the game in development. And that's kind of on the short side of things when it comes to a lot of Blizzard games. I think especially a game like Diablo. I mean, you know, like if Hearthstone only took them 3 or 4 years, that seems more reasonable. But the next Diablo iteration, if that did in fact come out in 2020, it'd be pretty soon. The general idea that Blizzard could use something new and fresh, I certainly agree with that. And I think this BlizzCon will be a big one. It's expected that we are at the very least going to get a teaser of Diablo 4, whether they call it Diablo 4 or something else. At the very least, get some 30-second trailer that's just like, hey, this thing's happening. But whether or not we see gameplay or a playable demo, I'm not sure. I think regardless though, this is some exciting news to hear that Diablo 4 is trucking along, even if it was just beginning development in 2016, 2017. Hopefully everything works out for the people at Blizzard Europe. Next story, we've got Fortnite not earning as much money as it used to. We talked a bit about Fortnite in the last episode and how its general popularity has been trailing off. That also plays into the financial side of things. According to a report from SuperData, Fortnite made $203 million in May of this year, placing it at number 1 grossing console game and number 5 on the PC. And even though that's a lot of money, it is a revenue drop of 38% compared to 2018. Now don't worry about Epic, they're still doing quite fine. They reportedly raked in $3 billion in profit in all of 2018. Oh geez, I'm only making $2 billion instead of $3 billion. I'm having a hard time. Can everyone go pitch into Epic's Patreon or something? 38%, it's a significant chunk, but when you were starting with $3 billion of yearly earnings, I wouldn't be too worried about a drop. It is quite possible that Fortnite peaked last year. It just gets so insanely popular and reached a zeitgeist that few games can ever dream of coming even close to. I mean, you look at Google Trends and yeah, it's on a downward slope, but it's pretty much expected because it reached an absolute insane popularity. So this isn't like an indictment of Fortnite as a game. I'm sure it's still gonna be pretty popular for quite some time, and Epic's still gonna be making quite a bit of money. Last up in the news today, I wanna just give a quick shout out to Summer Games Done Quick. This is a yearly speedrunning marathon that's gonna be going from today and lasting until June 30th, and basically it's a week straight of commentated speedruns. Now there's a full schedule of all the events online, so you can see what games are being played, the expected duration, who's gonna be running and commentating them, and all of the proceeds for the events go to charity. This year's charity is gonna be Doctors Without Borders. I just ended up falling in love with speed runs a few years back. In fact, the whole reason I got into the Dark Souls franchise was because I watched a speed run on Summer Games Done Quick, and I thought, this looks super cool, like I wanna check out this game. Now, when I first picked up the game, I tried to emulate the speed run. I did horribly. Doesn't come as much of a surprise, but then that eventually led into me kind of just casually playing and really enjoying the game, and now it's one of my favorite games of all time. So this is really just a shout out to Summer Games Done Quick. It's a lot of fun to watch, watching my favorite games, but also some games that I never played before. It's pretty cool. Also, the Games Done Quick events tend to churn out some pretty awesome cringe.
So confirmed Santa's #1 helper is a squirrel.
I would really prefer if you would be quiet. But yes, you are correct.
$10 from Dracu. The Tom B2 was my favorite childhood game.
It can be a lot of fun to watch. It's a really enjoyable event. Check it out if you haven't before. Again, that's gonna be running pretty much all this week, so you got plenty of time. And that pretty much does it for today's episode of the feed. Thanks as always so much for watching. I'm spending a lot more time making videos now, so I'm gonna be doing stuff more frequently. I got a bunch of new like show ideas, I guess, that I want to do besides the force feed. I'd also like to dust some more. I'm so sick and tired of every episode. Yeah, point being, YouTube videos, Force Gaming is back, so you should probably subscribe, because I'm tired of hemorrhaging subs. Also, hit that bell down there. That thing tells you when I'm subbing isn't enough, according to YouTube. You gotta hit that bell. And sign up for my newsletter. I don't have one of those. Donate to my Patreon. I don't have one of those either. I'm really good at this, huh?